running around with your friends to catch a Ferris wheel. Well, in 1893, many people were really excited to see the conventions, inventions, and rides at the time. But of course, there had to be that one crazy person, and in this case, it was H.H. Holmes. He had a roller coaster ride of a life. He was a businessman, a serial killer, and a psychopath. H.H. Holmes invented the Murder Castle of America in Chicago. When he graduated college, he graduated with a medical degree, and although he was very smart, he was still a little insane. During his college years, he stole bodies from the school laboratory and he sold them for insurance money. As you can see, he was very skilled in his fraud and forgery. So when he went to Chicago and he used those skills to get himself a pharmacy and a lot which he built his hotel, which is called the Castle, and he used different contractors to make sure that no one would know the true layout of the hotel if they were to come in and look for it. During the World Fair, he got his good looks and his charming personality to lure his victims in. Then when they actually got into the hotel, he would lock them in soundproof and escape-proof chambers, and then he would let the gas line flow, which would deprive them of their air. And so once they died, he would take their bodies and then he would put them down a chute, and he would, before the bodies went to medical school, he would meticulously dissect them and strip them of their flesh. And this continued on for 3 years. After the World Fair, Holmes left Chicago and began traveling. His journey began in Fort Worth, Texas, and continued on into Boston, where he was captured. In Fort Worth, Texas, he wanted to recreate the castle, but of course, after meeting the Texas law enforcement officers, he decided it was a bad idea, so he continued his travels. In 1894, Holmes was arrested and briefly put in jail. There he met Marion Hedgepeth. Marion Hedgepeth is his cellmate, whom he promised to give $500 to for a trustworthy lawyer. Because Holmes's plan was to build an insurance company out of $20,000 so he could get out of jail. This plan didn't work because the insurance company was always asking him too many questions. So instead, he decided to use a different plan. He asked his former associate, Peetzel, to help him. Peetzel offered to create a fake inventor named B.F. Perry, who was supposed to die in a lab explosion. In this lab explosion, Holmes was supposed to find a person to play B.F. Perry, but instead he just killed Peetzel and used his body for the insurance money. Once he received the money, he took custody over three out of 5 of Peetzel's kids, Alice, Nellie, and Howard. Then while he was traveling, he killed Alice, Nellie, and Howard along the way. But sooner or later, the police were tipped off by Marion Hedgepeth, and then Holmes was arrested on November 17, 1894 in Boston. In 1895, the police began investigating the castle. But in August of 1895, a fire suddenly and mysteriously consumed the building, so the police were unable to finish their investigation. It is assumed to be that 20 to 100 victims died, and some say it was even as many as 230 victims. Just as Christopher Pike said in The Last Vampire, death never comes at the right time. Despite what mortals believe, death always comes like a thief. While Holmes sat in prison in Philadelphia, not only did the Chicago police investigate in Chicago his operations in that city, but the Philadelphia police began to investigate the whole Peetzel situation. His case soon received nationwide publicity. After finding the children's remains, the public mind was sealed. They didn't like Holmes. When put on trial, he had many different situations he claimed to be in. He claimed innocence at first, but then he claimed to be possessed by Satan. As stated by Eric Larson in his book, The Devil in the White City, I was born with the devil in me. I could not help the fact that I was a murderer, no more than the poet can help the inspiration to sing. In May 1896, Holmes was hung at Philadelphia County Prison. Although many people were very excited and had a lot of fun during the Chicago World Fair, no one had expected Holmes to be a serial killer, and especially one of America's first. And this quote from Genesis chapter 9 will ring true. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall their blood be shed. for they were made in God's image.